Do not be afraid to surpass even your own father in Kokpar. That is why it is called Kokpar, Kazakh folk wisdom. Nowadays, Kazakh people strive to stay in shape visiting popular fitness centers and gyms, which offer a huge amount of exercise machines. Someone comes there to lead a healthy lifestyle, someone to build muscles and be in trend, others to achieve certain sporting success. I wonder, how did our ancestors in ancient times train? There was no such equipment at all. What occupations were they engaged in? What is the significance of the traditional games for training? In our today's episode, we will tell you about real Kokpar athletes. Greetings to all those who believe that any success is the result of both luck and the will to win. Flex Wheeler and Arnold Schwarzenegger are the most famous bodybuilders in the world. Bodybuilding is the sport where you keep fit by building up your body muscles. Flex Wheeler represents the most perfectly developed male body. Thanks to it, he won 11 world championships. And of course, thanks to regular training. What do people need to do to become a Kokpar player? We glorify Kokpar as our traditional national game and keep saying that it still needs to be developed. We also said that in our independent country, the traditional sports did not acquire their audience, being poorly promoted in narrowly specialized circles. Kokpar has not been scientifically studied and no significant research related to this game has been carried out. As a result, it is still not clear what kind of physical training is necessary for the athlete who plays Kokpar.
Kokpar маусымы басталғаннан бастап, мына жаттығуларды тренировка, яғни аяқталады оларда. Мына Kokpar маусымы.
Training stops when the Kokpar season starts. At the end of the season, we take a break of 1 to 2 months, then we resume the training routine again and go to the gym. We pump iron and train the arm and leg muscles. We do our best to prepare our bodies for strenuous physical activity. One day we do a running cardio workout, and the next day we are in the gym lifting weights.
Барынша денені шаршатпай, өзімізге ауыр нелерге дайындалып, барынша не аламыз, дайындаламыз. Бір күн тренировка істесек, бір күн жүгіреміз.
Do not criticize a horseman either too zealously or too indifferently. Kazakh folk wisdom. For us, rice is one of many products, but for the residents of Japan, it is an important element of national cuisine, the main national dish. School students are taught how to grow this edible plant as well. This shows their deep respect towards national traditions and culture. It would also be possible to introduce a Kokpar subject in our educational institutions. However, there are no textbooks and there is no professional teaching group that could give knowledge on such a discipline. In this regard, the Youth Kokpar League could be considered as a school. Now let's have the opinions of young Kokpar players. Initially, I was afraid of horses, but now I can come here and easily ride a horse. Our coach, Bekasil, makes us do a lot of exercises. Thanks to Kokpar, I have made a lot of friends.
бізге келген балдар басында атқа тұрғаны былай тұрсын, басында келген кезде аттан қорыққан балдар да болды.
At first, the kids were afraid to get close to the horse, let alone ride it. Now they are riding it with confidence.
Балдарымыз жақсы нәтиже көрсетіп, аттан қорықпай, өздері атқа мініп, жақсы жүретін болды. Қазір сол балдарымыз келген кездегі аттан қорқып жүрген балдарымыздың өзі байқағандарыңыздай бізде қазір көкпар ойнатып жатырмыз, көкпар шауып жүр.
We do a lot of exercises to strengthen the legs. We teach them how to properly press the cerque, which is a goat carcass, to the horse's croup. We have developed and are developing the types of exercises based on our own experience.
Тәжірибеден өткеннен кейін соны осы балдарға көрсетіп жатырмыз. Сол балдардың тақымдары қатайып қазір күнде атқа жақсы отыра бастады.
The results are pretty good. Children are very excited about doing these exercises. They play Kokpar and it looks very impressive.
Балдардың барлығы жақсы үйренді.
The Youth Kokpar League is recruiting young students. The exercises are divided into several stages. First, children learn to ride a horse, hold on to it freely and confidently. Then they begin to practice playing Kokpar. This is how future athletes are trained. A young man who masters and passes all these exercises will become decisive, courageous, and mature. The Youth Kokpar League aims to train young people using such techniques.
Қазір енді методика жоқ, көкпардан дайындау расында да. Енді спортпен салыстырып келген кезде, мен өзім күреспен айналысқаннан кейін.
Compared to other sports, there is no special preparation method for playing Kokpar. I myself used to be a professional wrestler before, so making grabs or quickly gaining control of the goat carcass wasn't a problem for me. It's all because I was a professional athlete. More specifically, all parts of the body are involved when playing Kokpar, including arms, legs, back and lumbar. You need to develop your body in all ways. Everything is involved in this sport. A lot of people are afraid to play Kokpar, and that's because it's almost impossible to do it in urban settings. Lots of guys have never seen a live horse. There are a lot of them around me.
So атқа кішкене үйретіп, былай мінсе, қасында жүрген талай қаланың балалары бірінші күннен бастап мініп, әлемге шейін мініп келе жатқандар. Просто бұларға көрсетпеген ешкім білмейді.
Kazakh poet Ahmet Baytursunov once said, "My people live for today, but I think about their future." This is so similar to the situation with the Youth Kokpar League. Well, let's talk about the qualities of the athletes who play Kokpar. Such a factor as psychological stability is very important for football players who can fill up stadiums with 100,000 fans. Therefore, psychologists even specially work with these athletes. What about self-possession of the Kokpar players? Kokpar athletes are exposed to extreme stress both during competition and during training. Therefore, in order to show all their skills during the competition, the athlete must be ready to stick to the following rules. Act in different situations without feeling pressure or fear. Perform all necessary actions with maximum accuracy in order to minimize the number of mistakes. Since Kokpar is played on a small field within JKL, it is very important to make decisions quickly and correctly during the game, practically without hesitation. An athlete must control himself, his own emotions. Such results can only be achieved with the right psychological training. It helps athletes to increase functional fitness in competition as much as possible so that to meet their goals and objectives. Traditional Kazakh life has many meditative components. Livestock breeding has been the main source of income for Kazakhs. As we know, it requires a certain amount of patience and perseverance. Kazakhs were also engaged in the noble art of hunting. And it too requires patience and endurance. In order to keep in contact with distant relatives, Kazakhs had to travel long distances. This too is a kind of meditation. It doesn't matter if you're grazing animals, hunting or traveling, it's all meditation. In fact, the whole way of life of the Central Asian Turks was one continuous meditation.
Көрдіңіз бе? Осының бәрі медитация. Сондықтан да психология, психолог десе, мысалы, түркі тілдес жаңа халықтың ортасында, Орта Азияда, ол бізге ерсі көрінетін сондықтан.
Kazakhs have adapted their psychological state to this way of life. But now it is the 21st century. People are under 10 times more stress every day.
Бұрынғыға қарағанда 10 есе, 20 есе көп стресс алады. Көрдіңіз бе? Өйткені адамның өміріне медитативті компоненттер қазір жоқ. Таңнан атысы, кештің батысы.
From dusk till dawn, everyone is busy at work or spending time on their smartphones. There is a lot of negativity on social media that also takes people out of their psychological balance. That's why there is this huge difference between the generations of the Kokpar players. Now, for an athlete who plays Kokpar, the issue of mental strength is at the top of the list. It's vital. Again, not only physical, but also psychological training is important for any horse-mounted player.
Жаңа медитативті компоненттер мүлдем жоқ.
A man will never intentionally harm himself. But when he mounts our Karabayir horse, his spirit and self-esteem rise. There is a high probability of overestimating yourself and then falling and getting hurt. There is a saying that when I ride a horse, even the Khan is not an authority here.
Сол сияқты атқа мінген адам өзі
Everyone who mounts a horse has an immediate self-esteem boost. The Kokpar player himself does not notice how in this thick of the crowds he finds himself in the center of the action. But still he makes a plan on how he's gonna play during a communal Kokpar game and how many throws he's gonna make. Of course, everyone wants to raise their profile in front of their family and friends. A warrior who defeats the enemy will be distinguished by his weapon. A man who wins the dispute is distinguished by his mind. Dear viewers, now let's have a short lesson from Yildoz Kozibayev, a respected champion in bodybuilding of Asia and Kazakhstan. Did you know that the human body is made up of over 400 muscles? The same bodybuilders do exercises for different muscle groups. For example, the pectoralis major is divided into upper, middle, and lower parts. For example, in order to pump the upper muscle group, you need to work with weight like this. With the middle muscle group, we work in this way. And with the lower muscle group, respectively, like this. There is sufficient information about all this. It should be said that the types of exercises that are necessary for practicing Kokpar have not yet been studied. What exercises are important for horse riders? What human organs are most involved during the game? How did the Kokpar players train until present times? From an early age, Kazakh children literally grew up on horseback. Imitating the elders, they tried to lift heavy bags from the ground. In addition, they regularly helped their parents with the housework. So they grew up to be physically strong athletes. This is the process of natural formation of the Kazakh Kokpar player, which passes through in a systematic way. But now, with the current level of knowledge and science, this process requires further development.
Кішкентайымыздан үлкендерге қарадық, бірге көкпарларға барып өстік, сол кісілердің қасына еріп, қалдырып кетсе жылап, сол кішкентай кезімізде еріп қалмай жүретінбіз.
We've been reaching out to adults since we were kids and used to go to the Kokpar games with them. We've been trying to emulate our older brothers. We made sirke out of a regular bag full of random stuff and chased it on donkeys.
тиын жинап, мысалы ақша жинап дейді ғой. Ол кезде 5-10 теңгеден жинап, барып аласың 5 тиын, қайтып келіп аласың 5 теңге.
For each drawing, we had a bet of 5 or 10 tenge. At the final round, called the Dead Ox, we had a bet from 50 to 100 tenge. We had so much fun. Having grown up, we shifted to 1-year-old foals. That's how we started to play real Kokpar on them.
Әйтеуір солай өсіп, кейін кішігірім тай көкпарларға солай кірісіп бастадық, ағаларымыздың қасына еріп.
Жаттығу десек, әрине, фитнес жаттығу да керек.
When it comes to physical training, you always need a base. For example, if we're talking about a city kid who sits with his smartphone from morning till night. We grew up in the village and developed ourselves physically by running around, grazing cattle and chopping wood. Of course, it wasn't easy for us to learn how to play Kokpar, but we felt much more comfortable. In any case, it takes a certain physical preparation to quickly pick up the goat carcass and press it with a foot against the horse's croup. As you know, football players need to run a lot and quickly, so they do mainly exercises that can give them stronger legs. Arm wrestlers, of course, train the muscles of the arms. And what muscle groups should the Kokpar player train?
Көкпар ойнаған кезде адамның барлық дене бітімі жұмыс жасайды. Ол жерде арқа, көбінесе қол, аяқ, дене аттың үстінде тұрып, тепе-теңдік ұстау үшін көбінесе мына ішімізде.
The person who plays Kokpar has all the muscles of the body involved in the game. You can pump them in any fitness club. Specifically for the back muscles, we prefer the following exercises. How do we do that? We straighten the arms, so the upper back muscles are working now. We pull them down. At this point, the lower back muscles are working. Having done 15 sets, we fully train the back. Let's move on to the next strength exercises. Why do I recommend them? Because they will help you to be able to easily lift the goat carcass. This is the so-called deadlift. We lift the bar and hold it at the level of the arms down. In this case, all our arm and back muscles are working. This is the basic exercise in bodybuilding. It helps to quickly gain muscle mass.
Және аяғымыздың барлық бұлшықтары жұмыс жасайды.
The next exercise is with a dumbbell. We take a dumbbell and train the arm muscles. Our shoulders and tendons must be strong when we are trying to grab the cerque. So we lift them up and then down, and up and down again. That's how our biceps start to work. We pump these muscles to make them strong, to make our arms strong. It's better to do this exercise with 15 sets of 4 reps.
Яғни сіздің бицепсіңіз бұлшық етімен мына жерде тұрған сіңіріңіз қаттырақ болса, сіз серкені ұзақ ұстап тұра аласыз. 15 реттен 4 мәрте жасаған дұрыс болады. Міне осылай, енді келесі жаттығу біздер тағы да арқа және
The back of the arm and the shoulder are engaged here. Put your knees on a chair and keep your back straight. We lower the dumbbell back down, raise it, and hold it. We do the same for the back muscles, stretch and hold. 4 sets of 15 reps. You will immediately feel that your back muscles are working better.
Міне осылай, енді қазіргі жасалатын жаттығу ол біздің ішкі бұлшық еттерге, яғни
The next is the abs exercise. First of all, we better do it in order to be able to quickly lift the goat carcass. We are standing straight and working with low weight. We are moving to the left and then to the right and breathing deep. Look at my muscles. The whole body is grouped. We do 15 reps to the right and 15 reps to the left. All muscles are tightened here. Take your time, focus, and feel every muscle in your body. Come to the gym and do these exercises regularly using the right technique. I promise that the next time you go to the Kokpar game, you will definitely see the difference before and after training.
Міне, жалпы қалада тұратын жігіттер ауылда барып, ауылға аяқ астынан барып көкпар ойнайтын болсаңыз, осы жаттығулар жасау арқылы сіздер көкпар ойында дайын бола аласыздар.
Where there is truth, there is victory. Kazakh folk wisdom. We have already said that athletes must be prepared both psychologically and physically. Now, let's look at the game from a different angle. During the battle of the riders for the trophy, human qualities such as justice and morality should prevail over external factors and the general desire to win. This is what distinguishes Kokpar from other, even more ancient sports. It is important for the athletes to stop the game in time and help each other, since a variety of emergency situations can occur during the competition.
Жәнелегі әділеттік туралы айтатын болсақ, бізде көкпарда, яғни жаппай көкпарда болсын, командалық көкпарда болсын, көкпар басып келе жатқан, мысалы серке басып келе жатсаң, сен атың құлап қойған жағдай, яғни жығылып қалған жағдайда.
In our case, it doesn't matter whether it is a communal Kokpar or a team-based Kokpar. If a player with a goat carcass falls, the referee stops the game. The rider takes the cerque, presses it to the horse's croup again, and everything starts all over again. The player is given the opportunity to get back on the horse. Kokpar is the best team sport. It's played by really brave people. Once at a feast, my horse stumbled and fell in the mud. The game was stopped. They returned me the cerque and cheered me up. Then the game resumed. That's what I call respect for the athlete, and that's great.
Келе жатырмын, сүрінеді ғой, сүрінбейтін тұяқ жоқ дейді. Астымызға атым сүрініп, содан ат құлағаннан кейін өзімізде құлап, сол жерде тоқтатып, көкпарды қайтадан алдыртып, сол жерде сауын беріп, қайтадан жігер беріп жерден, қайтадан атқа отырғызып.
Let's consider any popular sport right now. Almost everywhere there are schools, clubs, and special centers for practicing a certain type of sport and promoting it. Even in small towns, there are 2 or 3 sports clubs. That is, there are competitions where people compete where the sport is thriving. This is the system we need to use. This means that the number of clubs competing in the Youth Kokpar League should increase. Only then the game of Kokpar will develop in our country and worldwide as well. In today's episode, we mostly talked about the qualities that the Kokpar athlete needs to possess. Now let's conditionally divide this game into 2 components. In other words, let's distinguish between the mass or Japai Kokpar and the team Kokpar. In previous episodes, we talked about 2 types of Kokpar. Since the number of participants in the mass Kokpar is not limited, the athlete first of all is required to be strong in martial arts and in pressure. Athletes need mainly physical training, not so much technical. And in the team Kokpar, as it was mentioned earlier, physical, psychological, and technical training is needed.
Жаппай көкпар дейді, дәстүрлі көкпарымызда бір есте қалған оқиға. Енді бір командалық көкпар деген негізі біле білген адамға оңай соқпайды да.
I remember one story that happened during the Japai Kokpar game, that is the communal Kokpar. I like telling it. Many people think that the team Kokpar is too easy, but it's not. For example, in a communal Kokpar, if you lifted the goat carcass from the ground, they can help you get out of the pressure by pulling the bridle of your horse, and then all you have to do is just to hold on to the cerque and try not to fall off the horse.
Отырар ауданында ақырғы салым болды, өгіз өлді. Сол кезде салғанымыз есімізде. сол өзелді салып берген екен қаланы. Бірақ біз Алматыдан келгенбіз, бөтенбіз. Ол жерде бөтеннен келген кезде жаңа тағын тексеру үшін тартады да. Жергілікті шабандоздар басып бара жатса, тартпаушы еді. Сөйтіп.
Whereas in a team-based Kokpar, this method is prohibited. And so the story is that one day there was a communal Kokpar game being held in our village. I decided to participate, left the city and headed to my aul. During the game, I managed to lift the goat carcass from the ground. This was during the very last round called the dead ox, or in Kazakh, ogezoldi.
Тастаған кезім есімде да. Сол кезде бір сезім айтып, сөзбен айтып жеткізетіндей емес өйткені бір.
I managed to get out of the crowd and gallop towards the upper finish line. And then I heard the microphone announcing a double reward for taking the circuit away from me. I made it to Taikazan, equivalent to a goal, and it was crucial for me to go the whole lap to the bottom finish line and back, although others tried to take the circuit away. I did it. Actually, I was more of a team Kokpar player within the JKL or the Youth Kokpar League at that time. And these skills really helped me.
Не болды? Сонда бір есте қалатындай жағдай болды.
Мен келем тау ішінде түнделетіп аймақты астында ақ боз атым сылаңғағып келеді құлақтарын елеңдетіп ақ боз ат менің тұлпарым шалқыған көңіл сұңқарым көкірек кере жұттым мен ауаның жазғы жұпарын айқау сүмбілі шаш тәттай сөзің қара көзің білгейсің келгенімді жалғыз өзің.
Presently, Kokpar is played by many athletes, but they are brave horsemen. This proves that people with nerves of steel and warm hearts play the game. Well, we have come to the end of our program. And what have we come to? Do you remember what was discussed at the very beginning of one of our programs about the general significance of Kokpar as a national game? When we think of the US, the image of a cowboy with his wide-brimmed hat and pointed boots with large heels immediately comes to mind. The word cowboy itself originates from two words, cow and boy. That is, the boy who grazes the cows. So we imitate the cowboys, these boys, the children who are herding the cows. And at the same time, we completely ignore our Kokpar. It's time to end this. In the city, we all play football, volleyball, rugby, basketball, and that's all good. It's wonderful. But now the time has come for the city Kokpar as well. We need to strive to make sure that Kokpar is also played, so that it is also in trend. Why? Because Kokpar, Abdurispak, Tengelu are real art, authentic Kazakh sports. I am Akjol Taukan. Watch us on Qazaq TV's YouTube channel. See you soon.